There's one guiding behavior, one guiding characteristic that defines a mentor above everything else. What do you think it is? Or
A good
normally
listener?
a good listener. Very good. Very good. What else?
Non-judgmental.
Very good. Whoo, man. Non-judgmental.
Perhaps a mentor encourages more like risk taking
That's good. Yeah.
versus a
Very
manager.
good. Very good. All those are very good. Yes, there's really no right or wrong here, but the one I'm looking for is a very simple one, and that is someone that deeply cares. Okay. A mentor is someone who cares for you. And I want to show you this quote. Dale Carnegie Training asked an MSW research to undertake a benchmark nationwide cross-industry study of over 1,500 employees about engagement in the workplace. And the study discovered that although there are multiple factors affecting engagement, the personal relationship between the manager and his or her direct reports is the most influential. Here's a quote. Listen to this. An employee wants to feel that the immediate supervisor is interested in him or her as a person and cares about his or her life outside work and its effects on job performance. Employees have a positive relationship with supervisors who care. Okay, now I'm very thankful that article did not use the word mentor, because it pointed out how a manager, a supervisor, should be someone that deeply cares. And that is the essence of a good mentor, is someone that deeply cares for your personal, your professional development, and has an attitude of caring. Therefore, I have to make sure I'm not judgmental, right, Anthony? I have to make sure that I'm not spouting my opinion. I'm not just here to tell you I'm here to listen. I'm here for us to get on the same bandwidth together and do this thing together, okay? So when I talk about a mentor, a manager that cares, were y'all expecting that one? Is that too much? Is that too much to ask managers to be primarily someone that cares about them and to show that? Now, Jared, I don't mean to point at you, but you just laughed on that one a whole lot. So I want to hear what your thoughts are, y'all. How many times have we heard, we're not here to make friends? I'm not here to make friends. Have y'all ever heard that? Have you ever heard that attitude? Y'all haven't seen memes like that on Facebook or Instagram? I see them all the time. Okay, I'm not here. I hate to say this, and I don't want to stir a hornet's nest, but we also tend to have a very attitude like that regarding parenting. I'm not here to be my kids' friends. I'm here to be their parent. Okay, and I'm sitting going, oh my goodness. Okay, who should be your best? A good friend. Your parent should. Okay, but that's not all they are, because we tend to confuse the hats, right, Gerald? A friend is one who shows and cares and who helps and supports. And this hat, Anthony, we talked about earlier, this hat is the one that holds you accountable, disciplines you, corrects you. So we have two hats. We carry two hats. And what we've done in corporate America, we've basically said managers, supervisors should not be this caring because you have to be friendly. So therefore, we've removed this hat out of the equation, and now we're only carrying this hat right here. So yes, Gerald, you got to be their friends. Now, does that mean that you do barroom talk? No. Does that mean you get into personal stuff? No. Does that mean that you cross boundaries with them and you have no boundaries? No. You have to be careful of those things. There's a difference between being a friend, a personal, okay, and being too personable. Do y'all see the difference? Don't be too personable. That's wrong, but you should be very personal, okay? A professional friend primarily cares. That's the message we want to send. And to tie it back to Natasha's point, if I care enough for you, and yet I don't open my time up to where you and I can meet for 30 minutes and talk about the whole of the business, and you close the door and it's safe. Most of the time, it's going to be mentoring, supporting, it's going to be friendly, it's going to be advised, it's going to be where I'm going to show a level of woohoo and raha, at my own level. You don't have to be an extrovert about it. But, 3 out of the 4 times, 75% of the time, 80% of the time, that's the relationship we're going to have. 10% of the time, 15, 20% of the time, I'm going to have to put that other hat on and say, Stephanie, your numbers suck. What's going on? Why have your people not done this? What's going on? And then I look, you're moving into yellow. Yellow's not good. What's going on? And then I have to turn my facial expressions more towards that. Okay. But I got to come out of that. See, if we go into that hat and that's the only hat we wear, we're missing the opportunity to connect with folks at that mentoring level. Okay. So it's constantly having both hats, but it's primarily wearing the mentor supportive hat. And then every once in a while, later in the workshop, I'll show you the percentages. Okay. But every once in a while, you have to move to the manager accountability hat.
How do you define that line of an employee becoming too personable? Because I feel like gaining an employee's trust, you're talking to them, they're becoming more comfortable with you. You say don't get personable, but they do. They start becoming personable.
Well, that's good. That's a good question. You let them become personable at their level of trust, and you don't get personable with them.
But even then, certain things that they may want to get personable with you may not want to hear. So are you supposed to just shut it down and say, I think that's getting a little too personable? Like, how do you back out of a conversation once an employee has gained so much trust that they just want to tell you everything?
Whenever the employee goes deep into personal stuff, okay, I usually don't have any problem or concern talking about what it is that they're talking about. Okay, kind of like I entertain it. They tell me about whether it's their family or personal stuff, and I listen or I may give, input or, I don't shut it down. I usually do not shut it down. I say, well, look, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Okay. Because see, it's not you talking about it. It's them talking to you about it. See, so it has to be very careful that they initiated. It's almost like in an interview, okay? You're not supposed to ask, well, are you married? Do you have any children? How old are your children? What are you planning to do with your kid's career? You're not supposed to ask any of that, right? But if in the middle of the interview, they start throwing it in, as long as you did not and you don't use that to pry in further, you can entertain conversations and be friendly about it, and then graciously move yourself to the next topic, okay? But there's a moment in which they felt they could talk with you. You listen, you may have interacted, but you didn't use that as an opportunity to say, oh, you've opened the door, so let me prod in further and let me ask you more questions that get you to go deeper. And I'm also not going to then dive in deep with you and tell you stuff about me. No, you keep it to where it's gracious, it's kind, it's friendly, and you entertain it. And then you find a gracious way to get out of it and go back to what it was, or get it back to non-impersonal. Okay. A good tactic that I do is this. I usually try to find a similar story that I have in my life. Okay. But instead of going down to that personable level, I kind of bring it up a little bit. Oh yeah. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, yeah, my wife and I, we had some financial problems. Gosh, 10 years ago. Man, that was tough. That was really tough. No, we're doing much better now, but yeah, we just got to face it, right? Yeah, and then you bring it back out. You kind of close it and then go back to whatever it is you were talking about. You know what I'm saying? And so you entertain it, but you don't use it to go further, prod further, or dive in just because they dove into the deep end. That doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah, I think you're saying to kind of redirect it if you can, and that does make sense to me.
Entertain it a little bit and redirect, because if you do an immediate redirect, the human being can usually tell, like, okay, they're not willing to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Because you redirected too fast.